Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. I hope you're excited to be here with me today. We're going to be talking about the market and what's happening here in St. George. We've seen a ton of changes and things are changing pretty rapidly here in the market. If you've been following these videos over the last couple months, you'll know that there's been a lot of changes. Interest rates have been all over, listing prices have been all over. The market's basically just been this crazy show of, a lot of things happening. So in this video, we're going to talk about what's happening. We're going to talk about sales, what's happening with prices, and where I think the market's going to go over the next 3 to 6 months or so. With that being said, make sure to reach out to me if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate here in the St. George area, Southern Utah for that matter, or the entire state. My team and I service the entire state of Utah, and we'd love to be your trusted real estate resource of choice. With that said, my information is here on the screen. Call, text, or email anytime. And let's jump into the video. So jumping into my screen here, we're looking at the data for St. George for the month of March of 2023. Now, this is actually for Washington County, so this does include some of the smaller surrounding areas, as well as like Hurricane and Laverkin and these other areas, right? So we're looking here at this information. We had 146 home sales, which is great. That's up substantially from where we saw only 78 home sales in January of this year. So we're actually almost double where we were just a couple months ago, which is great. Usually Januaries are pretty slow. If we take a look at previous years, we were only at 95 sales back then. And then the year before we were at 70. So we do see home sales drop off pretty substantially in the winter months. And we're starting to pick up as we start to move into spring, which is totally normal selling activity. We're actually pretty close to being on pace with what we saw this time last year. In March of 2022, we had 144 home sales. If we go back to 2021, we're actually at 129. So we've actually seen a lot of home sales happen in this last month. If we take a look at prices, right here, you've got the median original listing price and the median sales price. This right here, we saw median listing prices actually jump up just slightly from where they were in February, but they're still down from January and December and even the prior months before that. So listing prices are remaining pretty flat. It means that we have an equal number of cheaper, smaller homes getting listed, as well as bigger, more luxurious homes getting listed. But the sales price is the thing that we actually really care about here. We saw a median sales price of $565,000, which is roughly 94% of the original $600,000 that home was listed at. If we go back here and take a look at January or February, if you were shopping during this time, you were able to negotiate a killer deal on a property during this time. We had a lot of clients that we've been working with who locked in on new construction or locked in on an existing home during this time, and they absolutely got a killer deal. I know that those guys are really sitting pretty because they're pretty happy with where prices are going. Now, this jump in sales price that we saw going from January or February into March, the reason why this jumped up so much is not just because of the seasonality and the demand that we saw come back into the market, but it could also largely be in part because we're starting to see more expensive homes actually get listed and get sold, right? Typically during the spring selling months, you're going to see more higher priced homes get sold because this is when people at those price points are most likely to either sell their home or purchase a new home. So we're starting to see these higher priced homes actually get sold, and that's what's partially bringing that number up. So we saw this jump up. That does not necessarily mean that prices are rising across the board because we're still down pretty substantially from where we were just even a couple months ago back in November of this year. But we are starting to see that number climb. And I think the other thing that's actually probably more important is starting to see this number, this ratio right here, continue to go back closer to 100%. Now, I don't think we're going to go back to 100%. The last time we hit that was back in August of last year. I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to that. I think we'll probably, in my opinion, end up hovering around 95 to 96% for most months, at least over the next 3 to 6 months. So this is something we're really going to have to keep an eye on during this time. We're sitting at a median sales price to original listing price of 94%. Looking over here at days on market, you can see that the average days on market is at 35, which is down pretty substantially again from the last 2 months. This is because we saw a lot of buyers jump into the market. We saw interest rates fall ever so slightly in February and March, and we saw a lot of buyers jump back in because now they thought, hey, now's our chance. Let's jump in while interest rates have dipped because they're probably going to climb back up. And I think that's actually pretty solid reasoning. We're starting to see interest rates already climb up again, and they are incredibly volatile. I've never seen interest rates be this volatile, sometimes dropping 0.25% or even raising 0.25% to even 0.375% in just one day, which is pretty unheard of. It's pretty crazy to see that substantial of a drop. And this is happening numerous times, right? We've seen this multiple times over the last couple months, and that is something that is very rare. So you kind of have to pay attention to this, right? right? You have to keep an eye on what's happening in the economic sector, what's happening with the banks, what's happening with interest rates, what's happening with the Fed, the stock market, and of course the housing market. This is all information that you're going to want to keep tabs on over the next couple of months if you think about buying or selling real estate. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the listings that are hitting the market. Before we do that, make sure to subscribe to this channel. There's a lot of people who watch the channel who are not actually subscribed to the channel. If you want to stay up to date on everything there is to know about St. George, what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here in the area, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to reach out to me, call, text, or email anytime if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate here in the state of Utah. We would love to help you. So if we take a look at this graph here, this is going to give us the home sales per quarter for the first quarter of 2023. Now that we've closed out March, we can actually take a look at this information. So we saw 316 total home sales, which is up just slightly from where we were in the fourth quarter of 2022, but we're still down just a little bit from Q1 of last year. However, we did see a newer, higher amount of homes listed during this time. Q1 last year, we were at 447. Now we're at 560. So it is good to see this inventory come up. I've actually had a lot of clients who have said, hey, Cody, I'm in the market, I'm looking to purchase, but there's just not a whole lot out there. And whatever is out there is overpriced and doesn't seem to be worth buying. And I would actually concur with that information, right? There's a lot of homes out there, but they're either overpriced or they're just not good homes, right? They need a ton of updates or they're just in total shambles and people are just asking way too much for that particular home. So this is something you have to look out for. We want to see more homes at good price ranges in good shape come to the market. And I think that's what we're starting to see. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months with inventory, with interest rates, and with the housing market overall. I actually think interest rates will probably stay about where they're at for at least the next 3 to 6 months. It's really hard to say what's going to happen after that point because everybody's kind of just, I think everybody's at this point where it's like, man, we're still in inflation. We still got things going crazy. Everything seems super expensive and it's just a crazy time. And I think everybody's kind of getting tired and worn out of hearing that. And so things are going to stay mostly flat for at least the next couple months as they continue to try and bring inflation down and hopefully get things to be a little bit cheaper. We'll see what happens with that. But I think for at least the next 3 to 6 months, they're going to stay mostly flat. Looking any further out than that is really hard to do. So I'm not even going to try that here in this video, but I think that home prices and interest rates will be right in that flat range. I hope you enjoyed this video. Call, text, or email anytime if you're looking to buy or sell real estate here in Utah. And with that said, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.